Tanse, hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, however you're listening to this podcast. Thank you for supporting the work that we do. The UDRCast is a full-time job, takes a lot of work. I have a lot of people helping me, supporting me behind the scenes, and basically really trying to support the people who listen to it. I do the UDRcast out of the passion of my heart, and sometimes, it gets hard to make it happen. But we as a team try to join forces and get the content out. So I'm just asking you from my heart, if you have an opportunity to maybe help support the podcast through donations, a cup of coffee a month, a cup of coffees a month, check out my Patreon account. We're accepting subscribers and donations there. Also, if you want to click onto my website, BILLWARDLIFE, there's a button there, it takes you to the Patreon. And, if we're helping you or your family or understanding, just think about giving us a hand up so we can keep creating great content. And if you have any suggestions on what you might want us to talk about, leave it in the comments on the website. Thank you. Hi. Welcome to the UDR podcast. I'm Bill Ward, your host, coming to you live from the recovery capital of Canada. As usual, this is where we get her done, and we don't get her done by sitting on our bums doing nothing. So anyway, I'm really happy to keep on the series of parenting in recovery, and it kind of has turned into families in recovery in a way also. And when me and Tamara and Janine were kind of thinking of who to bring in for guests, you guys came up on the list like pretty quick. I know you're one of the last of the podcasts for that series because you guys have busy lives now and you're not living in detox and on the streets where you had the time, and now you don't because life's busy. So our guests today are Amber, Lee, and Lee. So welcome both you to the UDRcast. Thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for having us, Bill.
How's life?
Pretty good, actually. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what's happened in the last year. For you.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay. The last year's been really good, actually. I went back to school and did something I never thought I could do. I took psychotherapy and addictions counseling, and I took family-focused therapy. And I've been acing it, and it was very hard. It was hard, but, a lot of support and doing what I had to do, keep my recovery. And, yeah, it's been really good, and I'm just graduating now, so.
Amazing. Yeah, I watched you through Facebook, and I know you, so I know how hard it has been and the focus you put in, and it's been an inspiration to watch you do that and see you're coming out with A+ and all the high grades. Awesome work.
Yeah, I surprised myself from where I was 3.5 years ago. We were on the streets at the end to now. I'm like, whoa, this is what's possible if you work recovery to the way you're supposed to do it, to the level you're supposed to do it, to a higher level. And yeah, it's crazy. It just blows my mind, actually.
And the kids in your life, everything's good with the kids?
Yeah,
how many kids?
2 kids. We have a boy and a girl. Allie is 19 now, and Hayden is just turned 14, and they're healing too, which is beautiful. They've been through so much with our addiction and our relapse and all the things we put them through, and they've come out the other side. The whole family is healing, so it's really beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And Lee, how's your last year gone? How many years sober are you now?
Just over 3 years. 3 years and 3 months, 4 months. I don't know.
Losing track. That's good.
Yeah. So it would have been November. It was 3 years.
And what's gone on in your life in the last year? Or what?
Well, I like to keep my perspective of what's going on in my life as really small. It's worked for the past 3 years, but it's just been, I've been trying to just take care of my family, right? Take care of like the alcoholic who's still sick. Take care of, my mom, my dad, my kids. And I'm just healing, really. And that's the only thing I can really say about it is I just want them all to heal. You know, not only heal from my mistakes, but like the stuff that's going on in their lives as well. And I just want to, like, past year has been about showing up intentionally in their lives.
Roger. And your dad just passed, and you spent a lot of time with him, right? And when he passed, you felt okay.
Yeah, that's something that actually really blew my mind, right? So like the past 2 years, he's been going steadily downhill with dementia. And it was just my mom and my dad. And with him declining with dementia, you know, mom still had to pay the bills, so she still had to work. And they had to have a care aide, but they couldn't just rely on the care aide. Legally, or for some reason, they have to have other people present. So my mom felt she was able to rely on Amber and I for support. And we were there every day to be there with Dad and watching him decline. The only option I had was to pray over him daily, which was really, really hard, right? But it was the only thing I could do to focus on him healing. Turn, I got healing, but that wasn't my focus. When he did eventually pass, there was, it was really weird because it was a spiritual experience. The whole thing was really, really sad. But within that sadness was the opportunity to be useful in love for all my family. And there was no hesitation on like, oh, what do I need to do? How is this affecting me? It was none of that. It was just help them heal. And that's the first time I've ever had thoughts like that, that just, they don't normally come out of me, and there was no hesitations. It was just like, I know what I need to do here, and I'm up ready to do it. And I was motivated like nothing else I've ever had in this life. And
Wild.
I can only call that God.
Wild.
So,
Just a heads up, that BILLWARDLIFE icon logo beside you, that chair is going to hit it and knock it off. So just watch out, because then we'll have to cut everything and it'll be a fiasco.
You know, watching like when we were there for his dad, it was also part of our amends for what we did in the past, like putting his parents through, his family through. We both took our turns. Like Lee had to go back to work eventually, but I put my school to online. At the beginning, Lee did put his school to online, and then I went to online. So I'd sit there all day, or he'd sit there on his days off, and we made it work like through our family and tried to
Supporting each other.
yeah, supporting each other and working together and being there for his mom and trying to live the amends and do what we could to mend that, right? And it was we made it work.
And having only one car.
One car,
Right.
and
Yeah.
2 teenage kids that had to
And
be a
living
million
in
places, and we both
butt
work.
nowhere.
Yeah, both work, both school. It's been a ride. This year's been a ride.
Raj.
Yeah. I just want to actually highlight a little bit on the amends piece. With my dad's dementia, and my mom had said, like, I don't want you bringing up any of the past, so on and so forth, because he'd get anxiety and fear, and that would make him angry. So my mom actually asked me not to try to make a verbal amends to my dad. And, like, there was lots of moments where he was lucid and so on and so forth, but that was actually a real struggle. So, like, I can't actually ever say anything to my dad, but I can show up every day in his life and so on and so forth. And it wasn't until after my dad had passed and after the service, and, you know, I had a few different family members reach out to me, and we were talking about Dad and the kind of man he was. And my niece, she actually said, you know, you are so much more like your dad than you think. And it was like that moment, I was just like, oh, shit. That's Dad telling me he knows that I'm a different person. And that was super healing.
Beautiful. So I'm going to take it back to, like, you guys have been in and out of recovery, and we're going to go through your guys' like story-ish together, and we'll go back there. But before we do, like, you guys have been in and out of recovery. You've had some sober time in before, and I say sober time because I don't know if it was recovery time.
It was not.
Okay. And Crystal and I just had that conversation a little bit too, as she was in here before you guys today. What was so far, like you guys are 3+ years sober in recovery, and there's a big difference from your sober time before till now. What's been the biggest, or what have been the biggest catalyst to a different recovery? What are the things, or what inspired you, or what have been the things that have changed, been game changers for you? Am I correct in saying what I said?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of a difficult question to answer without giving both sides of the argument. I can speak for myself. Like when we first met, she was everything I was looking for, but all of it was based in what I need, what I want, what I can get. And like I came from a lifestyle of crime and drugs and all of that. And I got this idea that I could quit using drugs and alcohol, and I'm going to be the person my parents raised me to be, which is a good husband and good father. And of course, I meet a hot single mom in recovery. I'm like, perfect. Mm-hmm. And I really did want to be that guy that my parents raised me to be. And my intentions were there, but like my motives was all just this idea that I can be this guy now. I get rid of the drugs and alcohol, and all of a sudden I'm going to be a man of character, and I'm going to be able to be a husband and a father. And I think you had the same kind of idea.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, like when we first met, I was 60 days sober, or was it 90? I don't know.
90 days sober, each of us, fresh out of treatment, the cliche, and became friends and told everyone we were friends. We were not, right? It developed into a relationship very quickly. And it was not, it was, off the bat, it wasn't very good, but go ahead.
So what have been the game changers, like 3 years ago plus? That's when I met you. And then you guys were here. I never seen you around before. And you guys talk about doing recovery somewhere else out in BC and, things like that. But then you come here. Was it different here?
Definitely. Definitely different here. Higher levels, for sure.
What did you see different?
I heard messages in the rooms that, like, it's not the substance, man. It's self. I heard that one, and it's like, the first time was just sober, and I didn't understand self at all. Mm-hmm. And the relationship, and it wasn't all bad. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of good trying to be a husband and trying to be a father, even if it is out of selfish interest. And we stayed sober 3.5 years. Unfortunately, 3.5 years. The bottom of self, I ended up with suicidal ideations, and I ended up using a substance, and that was the process of going in and out, relapsing in, out. But this time around, coming into recovery, and, I still have my wife, I still have my kids, and hearing the message in the rooms and getting really high-level sponsorship, going through the book, I understood, and everything was like jumping off the pages. I could see everything in my life that, though my intentions were good, they were finite. Mm-hmm. They were futile.
Love that. Although my intentions were good, self was all over under it.
Yeah. Yeah. And on my own power, that it's going to fail. It's just when.
And you're just reminding me of a piece of that book. And I've heard you talk about this too. We could wish to be moral. We could wish to be philosophically comforted. We could will these things with all of our might. But the needed power is not there. As marshaled by our own will, we fail, and we fail utterly. We have to have God's help. And that's the difference, right? Yeah. So going to Amberly, what's been, when you came, or what's been the game changers for you? What did you see different here? What have been the game changers for you?
For me, it was, I think, previous, I had been to treatment multiple times, and seeing that, I would think treatment would do it. I'd take back, at the time, kids or daughter or whatever it was, and go into recovery, and I didn't get the God piece. I didn't. And I didn't understand 6 and 7, and I didn't understand self, the malady. I totally did not get that. And coming here to Calgary and actually finding you in your podcast is I fully started to understand the disease. And it was not alcohol and drugs, right? It's self. And no matter what, and take it away. And that's why it didn't work every other time. Take away the drugs and alcohol. I'm not living in the solution. I fail. I fail every time, right? So it was a huge game changer this time. And I think my willingness was a lot higher this time. I hit a bottom this time that was like no other, right? And it brings me to tears when I think about it. But I think surrounding myself with people further along in recovery, 12-step pillars, and I really did. Yeah, I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it to a level. And coming here and finding your podcast and your big book study and people in the rooms, and it was just another level. And I really understood it finally, you know. And it was, everything started to click, you know.
Was there any difference in like the fellowship out here where they were like readily willing to help you when you were down or pick you up or teach you something? Was that, because I haven't done it really any other place, right? Other than I've traveled a bit and seen recovery in other places. But was there any difference in like our quality of fellowship here?
For me, like, I think it was very much show. I'm not trying to put anyone down, but I find it was a little showish out there. We did find a good group at one point and ended up getting a couple years. Not like we do now, but, and they were a good group. But here it's like, you know, you reach out for help and they're there, like, and guiding us through and through hard times. Like, I went through some pretty hard times in my recovery this time around, very hard. And everyone was always there, like at the drop of a hat. I'd phone or reach out and they were there, right? And I think that's very important, having people around you to get you through those hard times. Yeah.
How about you, Lee?
Oh, about the fellowship. Yeah, 100%. Like you were saying, it's all for show. Like a lot of the meetings there are show and shines. And we did have a really good core group, and we had people with decades plus in our group. And we would do lots of things, go kayaking, we'd go to roundups and so on and so forth. But like, that's a really good thing, but it doesn't help when it counts, right, in the moment. And here, it really mattered in those moments because people were like, I'm here for you when you're struggling, man. Like, I want you to call me. And I realized that it's more genuine out here by how they shared. Like, I picked my sponsor because it wasn't as I liked what he said, as I felt what he said. And everything he said was directly out of the book, which I understood later. And I believed him when he told me, you need 5 people other than your sponsor that you can call anytime. And he told me to do it, and I did it. And every one of those people were there, not just to hear me bitch about my problems, but to be like, okay, let's get into it. Like, why are you like this? Let's go to the book. And it was never about what was disturbing. It was always about why I'm disturbed.
Yeah. Wasn't like, okay, let's just go for coffee and let's go out and let's go for a swim.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just go and, you know, we'll go have coffee and we'll talk about your problems. And it's not all that, although at times there is a little bit of that, but it's like, I love what you just said. Why are you disturbed? Right? First, it's quiet the disturbance. Now let's look and do some inventory. Let's look for self, right? We're trying to find self, really. Yeah, dude. Okay. So you guys are a bit of a mixed family, even though you guys have been together a long time. You each have one child in the mix, right? And how old is Allie?
Allie just turned 19.
Okay.
I met her when she was 2 as a single mom.
Okay. And your son's name is?
Hayden,
Hayden. That's right. And how old's he?
14.
14. And they're both pretty well balanced and doing really well in life, eh?
Yeah. Like, figure that one out.
It's kind of crazy some days. I'm like, wow, for all the things they've been through, it's pretty cool.
So let's kind of walk back in your guys' lives. You guys had alluded to, meeting and treatment, and Lee, you coming from a criminal background and being a total degenerate type of dude. And, and I know, we spent time at your parents' house last summer, and, your parents are, decently, fine in the world of the material, and, your family seems very normal, and then you're the fucking black sheep, right?
Right?
So,
Completely. So I guess I was almost the same. My mom had me when she was 21, and she was with my biological dad, who was an alcoholic, an addict, and kind of a bikerish type. And she left him when I was, 6 months old. And then she met my now dad. He ended up adopting me. I think I was 5 years old when they met, and he adopted me. And then I was raised in this really kind of healthy family. And, like you said, looks like the land of the material. They have everything. They're very healthy. My sisters are very successful. And then there was me, right? So, yeah. And my dad now is in the program. He's been in the program since 14 years old, but I didn't have him in my life. And I think like some abandonment issues and attachment and all that stuff came.
when did you start getting into trouble with I'm sure it started with boys and then drinking and then drugs and then what age?
Definitely. It was around 14. It was around 14 years old. And looking back after doing a lot of work, at the time, my mom and my dad, my stepdad who adopted me, they started having my 2 sisters. And then my biological dad came back in my life. He had got a year sober, and I started connecting with him. And then he had a girlfriend, and they had a baby. So I always felt like I never really fit anywhere. There was these 2 families, and I kind of went back and forth between them, right? So, yeah.
And you grew up in the White Rock area?
Yeah, the White Rock. I did.
White
yeah.
Rock.
With loving, kind parents, very supportive, played all the sports, and they gave me everything I could ever ask for. Everything. And always tried to help me with the multiple times I went to treatment. They'd take my daughter.
What age were you in treatment first time?
First time I was pregnant with Allie, and I went to treatment. As soon as I found out, I think I was 23, 24.
When did life start going off the rails with substance use, and what substances?
Oh, God, everything. In my teens, it was a lot of partying, drinking, clubs, raves, whatever. And then I met Allie's dad, biological dad, and he was into harder stuff. A lot harder stuff, crack, coke, heroin. Yeah, and got into that. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I went straight to treatment. Yeah. But
So you were off the rails like at 18, 19, 20?
Yeah.
And you were with her biological father through those years?
Yeah, on and off for a couple of years, yeah.
Not healthy relationship?
Abusive. It became abusive. Verbally abusive, and then became physically abusive. And, I left while I was pregnant. I went to treatment. I had to phone the police. It got very violent. Yeah, very violent. Yeah.
And Lee, what was your young life like?
It was really good. Wasn't anything super in the realm of the material. I had all my needs met.
Where'd you grow up?
Calgary.
Okay.
Yeah, so my dad, he's not my biological dad, he's my stepdad, but I met him before he was even a year old. adopted me, and it was me and my sister from my mom, and then the oldest brother and the oldest sister from my dad's previous marriage. We all kind of came together. So it was a big family, but it was also mixed. My brother, he is an alcoholic. He ended up passing from his alcoholism, but nobody else in the family ever had alcoholism. And like I said, we had all our needs met. But I remember once my mom saying to me, like, as a little kid, we could always see you had a really low self-esteem. And they tried to do everything they could to help me manage that. But I was always just never fit, not in my family, not anywhere else. And I always just kind of kept that to myself. And I went off the rails really young. Like, started, like, drinking at school and stuff at, like, 12. By the time I hit, like, 13, maybe 14, I was off the rails. And my parents sat me down. They're like, this is not happening. And I wasn't ready to follow any kind of rules. Rebellious teenager, and I ended up taking off from home and living on the streets at like 14, barely 14.
So you were on the streets of Calgary at 14, 15?
Yeah, and then the party was over.
Yeah.
I like to tell
Already.
myself it was a party, but yeah, no, the party was over then.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it got bad very quickly after that. Like, I got into prostitution for a few years.
You were prostituting?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Completely heterosexual man as a prostitute for men. Like, baffles my mind.
Yeah.
But
well, shit takes us to dark places.
oh yeah,
right? And then you got into prostituting others, did you not?
I did. That was yeah. And like, the prostitution thing is like, I'm just compounding guilt and shame, and like, eventually you can't do enough substances to numb that.
No.
And yeah, I guess what I'm doing is causing the problem. So I better start selling drugs because I can't get enough drugs to kill my pain. And then I won't run out of drugs. And then I get money and status and clothes and shiny things. And started getting involved with some pretty serious people. And started dating a stripper. And that's where I got into, like, started running escorts and stuff like that, and living off them as well.
What were your parents thinking or saying, or what was your relationship like with them as you were, going down the dark path?
Pretty much non-existent.
They had
right?
kind of given up?
Well, I kept them safe from my lifestyle, and that's why I didn't call them. That's what I told myself. But yeah, like, I could come home and they're always there with open arms because they just want to see their son, right? And but I very, very rarely in contact unless I needed something.
What's the age difference between you and your sisters?
My one sister's 3 years older than me. Jim was like 9 years older than me, I think. And my oldest sister's 13 years older than me, I think.
So how was your relationship with them? Would they reach out to you? Would they try to help you, or were they just...
There was no contact. They didn't even know what city I was in most of the time.
Even at a real young age, eh?
Yeah.
Fuck, you're actually pretty lucky to be in the shape you're in and to be alive.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
And I don't even know anything more past where you are. There's many years of destruction from there.
Right? Like, any day I wake up on this side of the ground, it's like, holy shit, you really touch and go there for a lot of years. So I'm pretty grateful anytime I wake up with air in my lungs.
So you guys met in treatment. You had mentioned, Amberly, you were 23 with a baby in your belly and you first went into treatment. Is that when you guys met?
No. I went to treatment, got sober, did not work. Recovery, didn't do any meetings. Went to treatment, thought that was it.
What kind of treatment did they do?
They did 12-step there. It was actually intervisions the first time I went. Yeah, it was very small then, though. Like, it was just a little house. The women's house was very small. We went to meetings. We did do some 12-step, some big book. I remember that, but I wasn't there for the right reason. I was there because I was pregnant, And then as soon as after that, that was it, off and running again. And our disease progresses. So I met another guy.
Of course.
Of course. I met another guy, right? And relapsed. And
No.
yeah, of course.
Shocker.
And then, yeah, right? Jump into another relationship. And then, so relapsed. And then I knew, and my parents found out, and it was just, now I have a kid. I have a kid to take care of, and this is not working. Using and drinking and trying to take care of a new baby, and it just, it was not good. So I found a treatment center in Vancouver that took you with your child. And Allie was little, like she was just maybe 6 months, maybe roughly. And I went to treatment, and this treatment center did not do the steps. It was trauma-based and a couple meetings, but that was it. And I took Allie and I went there. And this time I tried to stay sober, but again, no meetings, right? I actually gave it a little bit of an attempt and it didn't work. And then I went back to treatment again. And every time after this, I went to intervisions again. And my parents took my daughter. And then I really started to hear the message a little bit and start the steps. And I did a step 5 while I was there and kind of started working my program. And
How old were you about this time? How old was Allie when she went with your parents?
2, because I met Lee 2. Yeah, 2. By
So
then,
you bounced around to
one and
like
a
3
half.
treatment centers by that
Oh
time.
yeah, like back to back to back. Yeah. And then after that, I met Lee. So that's when I met Lee. Yeah, in and out of treatment nonstop.
And Allie was 2-ish.
Yeah, just about 2. Yeah.
And Lee, you walk us up to where she is in your story.
So yeah, when I actually really, really wanted to get help, that's when I did call my parents and be like, okay, I don't know what to do here. I need help. And he brought me home. And I remember that conversation is like, what are you going to do? Like, you're an adult. Obviously, you're going to do what you want to do. You've done it your whole life. What are you going to do? And that's when I got the idea that, I'm going to be gainfully employed because I've never done that in my life. I'm going to start a career. I'm going to start a family, and I'm going to quit. She's like, okay, how are you going to do it? And I moved out to BC and stayed with my uncle and tried to do the whole normal life. But it wasn't and I didn't go to treatment. I just thought I'd drink and smoke pot and I'll get rid of all the hard substances and I'll get a job. And then I did that for a while, staying with my uncle, and it was good for a couple months. And right?
A couple months.
Yeah, until I got my own place. As soon as I got my own place, the using started immediately. I never got furniture or anything else. And then I started doing the old same patterns of going to escorts and everything else. And that lasted a month, 2 paychecks. And I was at that same, just empty shell. And don't know how it happened, but I called my uncle for help, and I got into detox that day, which is unheard of for Surrey detox. And I got into treatment 7 days later.
No way.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell that happened. Wait lists at that time were 4 to 6 months.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I went to Intervisions, the mail house. And I really, 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 really tried. And I really focused in treatment, did everything they told me to do, did up till step 5, got a lot of relief, and graduated treatment, went to a sober living house. And I continued to be a step 5 listener. Didn't have a spiritual awakening. I just did a step 5, so I was allowed to be a listener, which was good because it kind of kept me in touch with them and it really gave me the drive to stay sober. And that's when I met Amberly, and and that's when we had kind of both got into the same support group, pillar group. We actually met at the North Shore Roundup,
Yeah.
AA Roundup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The convention in Vancouver that they have once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was 90 days sober. You were 88 days sober. And just met the love of my life. Oh, God's great.
Yeah. God, thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Gifts of recovery.
Yeah. Meet a hot single mom. Perfect. That's exactly what I thought I needed to stay sober.
Yeah.
God, it's great.
Yeah,
And-
you hit two birds with one stone. She already had a kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I can be the man my parents raised me to be. And, oh, so good. And I'm going to be able to do it because I'm a man of character, don't you know?
And I remember our support group being like, it's well known, like, not suggested to have a relationship until, at least you've done 12 steps, had a spiritual awakening. And like, so we were like, oh, we're just friends. We're just friends. We're just friends. And then it didn't matter that our recovery was not where it should be. It doesn't, right? Like, it doesn't matter about time. It matters what you're doing to recover. And a year hit and we're like, okay, we're together. We have a year.
Yeah. Do you know what's really funny about that? Like, we hear the message that shouldn't get in relationships, but like our support groups kept telling us how perfect we were for each other because of all the sparks and chemistry, and they were just seeing two addicts in recovery. Like,
Yeah.
It was almost like what Jesse talks about, right? He's like, oh, two half people trying to make one person, and the sparks are flying because it's two half people fucking making one, right?
do you remember like Carol Ann and Brent? They always used to be like, oh, you two are so made for each other.
Yeah. And they were kind of pushing
like
it.
8 months sober.
Right? I love that.
We did have chemistry, though. We really did.
I love that, though, that what Jesse says is like two half cups trying to fill each other up, trying to make full cups. And it doesn't work. You're constantly trying to take from each other and compensate for each other.
Or trying to give what you don't have.
Yeah. Yeah. We couldn't give anything to each other, constantly trying to take. I wanted him to make me happy because I wasn't happy with myself. And of course, that'll never work. Right. So, yeah, it was, yeah, we went through quite a bit. Very codependent.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And so Hayden is your guys is together.
Yes.
Okay. So as you guys kind of navigate now, you're in a relationship and you guys made the commitment to be together. And at some point you ended up on the streets together more than once?
No, once.
Once?
Many, many years down the road.
So that first stint of treatment, you guys both stayed sober for some time, hey?
Yeah. Had Hayden. Got pregnant with Hayden a couple years after we were together. We lived together and had Allie, and then I got pregnant with Hayden, and
That's right around the time I had bought him myself. A little while after Hayden was born.
Were your supports, your parents, your families, were they supportive of the relationship and the family you guys started building, or were they still...
by then they were, because we had a little bit of time sober and things looked good, right? Like we had our home and we were moving towards getting married. We were planning on getting married and like all the things, right? So
they were like, oh, this is good. They're gonna find a purpose in life and stay sober, these two.
yes,
You know,
exactly.
I think my mom really wanted for that for me as well. Like they're very firm believers in marriage like that.
Yeah, they were very happy. I think they thought this is it. Like finally, this is it. Yeah.
And then it wasn't it.
No, the needed power.
How did it start falling apart?
Well, for me, it was like Hayden was somewhere around a year, I think. And like I said before, I started to get these suicidal ideations, right? And I was absolutely miffed. I'm like, I got this beautiful family that I love and that loves me. And, you know, I'm sober. I got good jobs at this point, like working within a union. And I'm like thinking about eating a bullet. And I'm like, this isn't supposed to be this way. Like, what the fuck?
And you're sober.
And I'm sober, yeah. And like, just as much as you can like get that insane trivial excuse for the drink, I was like rationalizing, justifying killing myself, even though like I didn't want to. And it was really bad. And like,
Were you chatting with your soon-to-be wife at that point?
Not until I was like, I scared myself. And I said, Amber, this is the way I feel. And I went to a hospital immediately and they did this assessment. And I sat there in a baby doll for 3 hours. Then I went home. Wasn't, a couple of weeks after that, I just showed up at home with a case of beer.
Oh, yeah. Eh? So
Yeah.
you went into the psych ward, got an assessment?
No, not even. They just interviewed me for a little bit, released me, and said, oh, you're okay. Come back if you need to.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later, you're sitting there with a case of beer.
Yeah.
And it began again. And were you
Began
drinking
again for her, too.
Yeah.
right then?
Oh, yeah, right
Right
then.
then.
That was the codependency. Like, you're going, I'm going. Like, it just, and at that point, really, we weren't going to meetings. We were so busy with the newborn, new work, like adding all these things back into our life. But where's recovery? Right?
Nowhere.
Nowhere. So it was just a matter of
Non-existent.
time.
So you came home with the case of beer?
Yeah.
And how did you say it to her?
I said, I'm having a beer. Want one?
I was shocked, but then after I was like, well,
Okay.
okay. And really in my head, I thought I could control it. I thought this time would be different. I'm not a partier. I'm not young anymore. I know better. All the things we tell ourselves are disease, right? This time I'll beat it. This time it'll be okay. I have 2 beautiful kids. I have a partner. We have our home. We have our jobs. Everything's great. This time it'll be okay.
I didn't think of the consequences at all. It was just blindly.
I'm like,
Perhaps he doesn't think at all.
Right? So, like, coming in the room this time, like, the self, the trivial excuses, the not think, like, the words off the pages were jumping in. And like, holy shit, that was everything that happened over the past, what was it,
years.
14 years that time or something? It's like, holy shit. Why didn't I read this book before? Why didn't I hear it that time, right?
So where'd you guys, how long did it take to burn down? Take us step by step, at least how the beginning burnt down, because it just started, hey, I'm going to have a beer. You want one? Yeah, sure. Okay. And then, it's kind of like that. You ever see that meme? It says, I was just going to have one drink. And then it says 5 years later, and that guy's on that dirty couch with bottles and bongs, and he's just like dying. And, 5 years later, it was like, but 5 years ago, I was just going to have one drink. Right?
Yeah, it got bad like
Quick.
over a couple months, pretty quick,
Yeah.
like right
Well-
to go ahead.
For me, it was like, well, as soon as I started drinking, that's not good enough for me. And started, using heroin and cocaine again. But we're just going to do it just on today and so on and so forth. And we'd do it for a little while and we start to get consequences like, oh my God, we got to afford diapers and so on and so forth. Still got to hold down the job. And I'm getting overtired, just worn out, stressed out, scared as hell. And looking at my wife and kids, and it's like I'm compounding this guilt and shame because I know I'm doing them wrong and I can't stop. And we knew there was a program. We knew we had these pillars. Like, I knew it. But the thing is, I can't stop working because I have to pay for my family and I got to be a man and like so on, all of it. And I'm just dumping more guilt and more shame and more failure and everything else on my plate. And it just, there'd be like months we would just go off the rails. And then there would be like, okay, we're going to muster all our forces and like get on methadone. Everything's going to be good and we'd be good for a few months. And then things would look up and then I'd be fucking loaded. Mm-hmm. And it was just years of that for me. It's just years of wanting to be the man my family needs me to be, or what I think my family needs me to be. And yeah, it's just
compounding guilt and shame and self-worth and just fucking going down the hole.
It
Was
gets-
suicidal ideation part of that journey too?
No, because I had substance use.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I ever had suicidal ideations was when I was untreated alcoholism, sober.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it got bad pretty quickly, and it would just cycle, and eventually we were on methadone, right? Yeah, eventually we had to go on methadone, and then it's trips to the pharmacy every morning. And because we were already in this cycle, and it was progressing, and now we're stuck on methadone.
Hey, pull that mic a little closer to you.
And then now we're stuck on methadone. So we have to go from our home to there, and eventually we lost our car. It got impounded. Driving, we didn't pay the, like just all the things. We couldn't get to the pharmacy, so you're sick, so you use. And it just compounded and compounded. And eventually, Lee's parents, we phoned them and said, we need help. My parents by then knew.
How many years down the road from the relapse?
A couple.
Yeah, probably a couple. And to the point where we were losing everything, right? Like the car was gone. Like my parents knew. They had lent us their car, and Lee had taken it. And I think he nodded off at the wheel, and the police had called my parents. And they came and took the car away, and they were like, we're calling CFS here. And we're going to have the kids taken away. And then we were like, oh my God, like this is trouble. And we phoned Lee's parents. They were in Arizona at the time, and they came. They flew out. They left their holidays, flew out, and took care of the kids. They helped us get better. They took care of the kids during the day, tried to get us better so we didn't have to go into a detox. We detoxed in the bedroom, waited for treatment, and we both went to treatment. Yeah. It was...
Holy shit, you guys.
Yeah.
Just menaces.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
And staying together through this all, like, holy shit. It's pretty mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the codependency is real, and it is powerful.
Did you guys, either of you have, like, times where you were like, I'm not doing this with him or her?
Later on.
Later.
Yeah.
Much later.
Much
But
later.
the codependency, and that wasn't, the option wasn't leaving each other. It was like, we're doing this together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her and my kids were my whole world, but it was the only resemblance of like love I had in my life, even for myself. So I wasn't letting that go for anything. Ultimately, I'm like destroying them in the process, but like it was the only resemblance of any kind of love or normality or.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paradoxically, I'm compounding the worst things that I'm trying to avoid feeling by doing that, though.
So let's jump up to like you guys being homeless on the streets, and where were you? How'd you get that happen in Calgary?
In Calgary.
Yeah.
So you guys left Vancouver area, came to Calgary, and then what?
So that came about from like, okay, we mustering all our forces. We're gonna get fixed. You went and stayed in BC. I moved out here with my mom and our son, and she's gonna come join us later. And yeah, that's how we ended up in Calgary. But
Yeah, you came for your job. Like he got a new job offer out here, which was good. We had been to treatment again. His parents were like, you guys need to get out of Vancouver. This isn't working. Like, come here. We'll support you. We'll help take care of the kids while you guys do recovery and work. And,
there was no recovery.
It
Didn't
was
even go
just,
to meetings.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a cycle of like maintaining. And eventually, eventually it just fell apart. Like,
Yeah, when you moved out, I started a new career.
yeah.
Carpenter and construction. And that's 14-hour days, 6 days a week, because I need that promotion, don't you know? Right? Got to pay for that family. No time for meetings. I don't remember that we completely separated our family and moved to a whole new city to rebuild the family.
Yeah, and I was very depressed after a while because I had left everything I've always known, my whole family, right? Like my sisters, my mom and dad. Like I was very close with everybody, and moved out here, and I knew nobody. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID hit, and like Lee had been away all the time for work. I was by myself with the kids, and no recovery, and I just fell into a horrible, horrible depression. And our daughter at that time, it was about COVID, I think, and she had got assaulted while she was babysitting, and that was like the catalyst of like she got assaulted, and I blame myself for letting her go to this place to help babysit, and what happened to her was the scariest day of my life. She was taken. We didn't know where she was. We had to phone the police. Eventually, she got away, like, I don't know, midnight, and came home and not in a good, she was not okay. And we had to go to the hospital. And after that, the guilt just killed me. I was already depressed, already like in a bad way. He was in a bad way. Our daughter, after that, she was very messed up, very, very messed up. She wouldn't leave the house. She didn't want anyone near her. Our relationship with her was just chaos. Like, it was so bad. And 5 years later, we went to trial for this. He was charged, but that was our downfall. Like, after that, we just went full bore. We ended up losing the kids. CFS came and they said, like, your kids are not at school. You guys are a mess. Either someone takes them or we're taking them. And our parents.
I remember that morning very well.
Yeah.
And that was in Calgary.
Well. That was in Calgary, yeah.
Yeah, that morning. Again, mom saving the day comes and takes. Your parents came, took Allie back to BC. My mom came, took and grabbed my son. I remember signing the temporary guardianship order on the back of the trunk of the car, being like, fuck, I can't do this again. I felt so bad, destroying my family yet again. And I'm going to get help as soon as I'm, before the ink even dries, I'm going to detox, I'm going to treatment. 2 hours, I get loaded again, wondering how the fuck it happened.
Yeah.
And after the kids were gone, that's just when everything just, there was no barriers, there's nothing to stop us, didn't have to feel the guilt when we look at our kids, and it was just her. Just her and the substances.
Yeah, the kids were gone. Allie was in Vancouver with my family, and Hayden was with his family, and the pain was horrible this time because our parents were not. This time was like, you're not getting these kids back for a long time. You guys need to get it together. We're not giving them back right away. And when I look at it, I work at a place where there's moms in recovery, and I see the support is so needed. Like, I see getting the kids back immediately after treatment is very hard for moms, dads, whoever in recovery, trying to make those meetings with little kids, trying to do all those things and thinking everything, like, just put it all back together right away. And this time it wasn't that. But we lost our house. After the kids were gone, we lost our house. We were on the streets. It was COVID. Detox was half capacity. Treatment centers were half capacity. So we ended up going to detox, but they wouldn't keep us. Only like 10 days. And right now, at that point, it was like months to get into any treatment centers. So we just cycled through detox after detox after detox. We even went out to Red Deer to get into a detox, like just to try and to get into treatment. But we'd just end up on the street and use and, and then we'd go back, right? But it was brutal this time.
And then finally, you guys both got into treatment at the same time?
Yeah, I remember that day very well too. Because we had done the detox circuit and like detoxes that were co-ed that didn't allow couples. We would lie and say, oh, we're just really good friends. And Alpha House lets couples in. And we had done the detox so many times where we'd be in there. They'd extend our stays because we had on waiting lists. And there was a time where we were like 7 days away from getting beds at different treatment centers. And like, oh, we need to spend some time together. We should go get an Airbnb before we're separated for 3 months. And then we'd relapse immediately.
Yeah.
We did this once. So many times. Detox out, loaded, detox out, loaded. That eventually, the last time we were in detox, like we sat down and it was like, listen, if I get a bed date, I'm going. You're in a safe place. You're in detox. I'm going. You're going to have to figure yourself out. And like, you agreed with me 100%. She was like, actually, I was going to tell you the same thing. Like, I'm gone with or without you at this point. That was like probably the first moment of truth we had. And funny enough, the moment we sat down and said that to each other, I got a bed date 9 days later.
The moment you said, I'm going with you or without you,
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in treatment like 7 days later. You had a bad day just shortly after that. And another one of those really weird things, like when I'm ready, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's your opportunity.
Yeah, we were like, it's enough. We're going, like, we need to go our separate ways. We need to go, and we can't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then the beds opened up, and it had been months of trying to get a bed. Like, it was
Wild.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah. And at that point, I had no more answers, man. Like, I had no more answers about anything.
And that's the point where we can be open, is when we don't have the answers, right?
Yeah.
So kind of speeding ahead a little bit. You guys are in recovery. Things are going well. You're back together. You're back in the rooms. I meet you. Other people are beating you. Everything's going really good. And then they're not going good. And then you guys decide to break up.
Yeah.
That was pretty trippy also, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what had happened is, like, a couple years before, we applied for the Calgary housing subsidy that pays a good chunk of your rent. And going through treatment, I'm like, well, where am I going to live? I don't know. All of a sudden, the subsidy comes through. Perfect. Get our own place. We don't have our kids at this point. We can move back in together, and we can work on our marriage and so on and so forth. And really, really meant to do it. And we get this place, and we got into treatment so close to one another that, like, we pretty much got it at the same time, and we moved in together right away. We didn't have kids yet, back yet. And I was heavily involved in sponsoring guys. And I wasn't sure how to handle my codependency issues that kept being brought to the surface. Like, Creator shows you where you need to work on it, and I didn't know how to work on it because the only thing I had was an idea of God and a bunch of alcoholics to work with. And that kept me sober. And
I didn't go through a treatment center that did 12 steps. So Lee came out of treatment, and he had done a ton of meetings, developed a support system, done a fair amount of steps. I think all the steps by then. And I was locked in a treatment center that didn't really do that, right? So we were very two different places completely. And we didn't take the kids back right away. That took a long time. Which I think is so important to get your footing and get a solid foundation of recovery before you add that stuff in, which was beautiful this time that we were able to do that. Thank God. But yeah, things fell apart, like lots of resentment, lots of codependency, and we needed to do something different.
And then you guys did.
We did.
And you worked your own program, and you separated, and you did what you needed to do. And then how many months did that happen? 6, 8, 10?
a year.
Year?
We were separated for a year.
Yeah, we lived apart for a year.
Yeah, we lived apart for a year.
I think at a year sober, we kind of, by the time we were, I don't know, maybe a year sober. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that when we sat down, you knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
You're like, something's up. Like, this is not a relationship. And I was feeling the same way. It was actually you I spoke to about that, because I was getting these thoughts like, I want to leave my wife, which shocked me that these things were coming up. And I thought, like, oh my God, is this self? Because I kind of had an understanding of self, because I was sponsoring a lot of guys. I did a good set of stuff. And, like, in retrospect, that was Creator just being like, no, you need to get a little bit more intimate with yourself here before you can even be in a relationship. But I also don't want to leave my wife 12, 13 years at that point.
Yeah, 13, 14.
As you can tell, I'm not very good with dates.
It was hard. It was very, very, very hard. That level
scary.
Of codependency and been through all that, all those years. And then the kids, like, they've been through hell and back.
Yeah. You know what's
Already.
hilarious about you guys' breakup for me is Lee was relying on me as a pillar through a lot of the early part, and then you relied on me as a pillar through a lot of the later part. And like I've gotten good at it. I got to be impartial, and I have to learn how to care about only the person who comes to me, and that's what I did with both of you. And I never misconstrued it or overlapped it, I don't think. And like, I was just able to, whatever guidance I could help you both with on your own self journey of like authenticity. And I've done that many times with couples, and I've never gotten in any trouble or like had one resentful at me or other, but it was pretty funny to be in that position.
It's crazy. I think like because we still lived in the same place for a couple months until he could get
Oh,
a
yeah.
place, and
That was
the-
awkward.
all that stuff and the kids, and by then we had the kids back. So all these things all are like, oh my God, this is crazy. But he would phone you and I would phone you, but 2 different rooms, or I'd go outside. I knew like poor Bill would get these phone calls, but like. This time around, that was so important to reach out to our pillars and depend on people who are 12-step, God-centered, and guide us through these instead of guiding ourselves. And I think that really was a huge difference because that was a hard time for me. I had broken my leg at work.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk. We were splitting. Like it was extremely hard time. And I made it through that because of pillars.
Your
And
connection
God.
with God.
Yeah. Pillars and God, like that also. I remember surrendering, like surrender to the substance, but surrender, like a full on surrender. I remember hitting my knees in the apartment. I had met with you, and you had read with me a bit and talked to me a bit, and I got home and I hit the floor and I got on my knees and I just surrendered. I'll never forget it. I'll never ever forget it. And yeah, I made it through. We made it through by, I don't know how, by the grace of God.
Yeah, there was many beautiful moments that I've watched you guys, and a lot of pain too, but sometimes that pain is part of the beauty, right? And so like here we are today. You guys have been together again for quite some time. You guys have built a solid relationship and a lot of like authenticity within your own individual selves, doing things for each other because it's the right things to do, doing things for your family and for your kids because they're the right thing to do. And today we're here and you guys are parents that your kids look up to, and you're there and, oh, hey, Lee, can you hang out? No, I'm driving my daughter. Amber Lee, can you answer his phone? No, I'm not. I'm busy with my daughter, or busy with Hayden. And you guys are doing the deal, right? And it's, I think more so than maybe the parenting in recovery for this episode has been like how you guys have navigated as a family to the point where you're at today, where, you're doing it. Can you give us a description of what life is like today with the family? And, I know you guys hang out with Harp, Coach Harp, who I know, and, Allie dates his son, and you guys spent Christmas there, and like just everything's so much different, right?
Yeah.
What's it like today in family mode, and how do you mix that with recovery?
Oh, they're definitely related because recovery is God, period.
Yeah.
Right?
Good.
And
Awesome.
like when we met, like I had the best all through our entire relationship and my family is like my intentions were there, but the motive. So like recovery and family, the simplest way I can put it, that's to the point, is my intention is to be the husband and the father, and the motive is God, period. God is the power that enables me to be the husband that she needs me to be, to the father that I need to be, the son that I need to be. And when I take that perspective of like, God built me to have these things, and he built my past experiences, the shit and all, so I can be this man today.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember that it's only in those moments that, okay, God is powering me to be here, and he's placed me to be here as a father in this moment, or as a husband in this moment, or as a son in this moment. All of the other stuff goes away where it's like, oh, what principle do I got to put in here? No, it's not. That doesn't even come into play.
No.
It's
You're here to play the role you're assigned, whatever it is.
And I'm here to fit myself to be a maximum benefit. So if it means I have to fit myself, I actually have to be flexible. I have to see where my sharp edges are so I can like transition into where I can have purpose. And, God doesn't make mistakes when it comes to children. Those children are perfect the way they are, and he uses me to help them live up to that perfect image that is God. Even though they're human, they're going to fail at it, but I can be there to guide them and to fit myself to be a purpose to them.
And on the same note, you're perfect because you're one of God's kids too.
But defects and all, my
Right.
Creator have all of me, good and bad, man.
And life only throws seemingly good and seemingly bad curveballs at us because it's not really what it seems. And when you take that stance, nothing's really out of place, right?
I got a question
Nothing.
for you. Our separation for that year, do you think it was one of the best things that could have happened to us? Because I believe that. That was the best thing that could happen, and that was God. I
That was
believe
God.
that in my soul.
100%, because when you came to me and said, like, this is how I feel, I said, we need to talk. This is what I see. And you're like, okay. And I pushed him to get it out. And I said, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like that was God. And I remember Bill telling me, like, I had broken my foot. And he's like, seemingly good, seemingly bad. God is doing this to you so you can, maybe God's doing this to you so you can, get a relationship with yourself. Like, it seems bad to you.
Yeah.
And it is the best thing that ever happened to me. I was able to grow with myself and become independent and learn to love myself and do the work and be okay on my own. And I remember at the beginning, being resentful and upset and hurt and, applying the program to all areas of your life. Where would God have me be? Right? Bringing love into every area of my life, and I would just show up and be the best I could be to support Lee at his place, like every area of my life. And then eventually we grew back together.
We learned how to be individuals in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I was first getting the thoughts of like, I want to leave my wife. Oh my God, this is a mistake. And I remember talking to you, Bill. Bill's like, it's not a mistake if you're willing to grow and learn from it, because nothing happens by mistake. It's what you do after you think you make a mistake that matters. And like, over that year, choosing to live apart and you showing up and trying to be of service and useful to me, and I would do the same for you because of God. It's the right damn thing to do.
And in the process,
And not trying to get anything out of it.
Yeah, nothing.
Right?
Where's the motive, right? You always say intention's great, but where's your motive? My motive was just to be the best person I could be for my family, my kids, my husband, even though we weren't together, in all areas of my life. Like, in all areas, I could just show up and where can I be of service? Where can I help? And be there for the kids and help them transition through this. And through the growth and understanding and bringing God first into our lives, God first always, before him, before the kids, before anything. The kids have like healed, like they've went through some hard things and had some major issues, like with what Allie went through, and Hayden on his own, like he's had his own issues too. And like us being there for them and able to hold space for them and be present, like fully present for them. They come to us now. They want to be around us. They come to us, and it's crazy. Allie started asking, can I go to Sweats? I see how happy you guys are. I see the change in my parents so much that I want to find God. Can you introduce me to these things? Help me heal. And she's like, I can't believe this is my parents.
Yeah, not only Sweats, she's like, I want to go to Sweats with you guys. I want to go to church.
Yeah.
Because she's been to some meetings, and like I've sat and had couple like one-on-one conversations with her, and she's like, what's God? What is God? I said, God is whatever it is right here to you. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, ask yourself, what is God to you? She never did answer the question, but I think she answered the question. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Because she wouldn't be asking those things if she didn't. And like, she's been through some shit. She's had some hurt. And for her to come out as balanced and as good as she could, like, it's amazing to see that.
Yeah, she had some hard years.
That's a testament to you guys and your own growth and your early parenting as well, and the love that you do have for your kids. And it's a testament to your lives and what you do. And your kids are both amazing. You guys are both amazing, right?
I'm just excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, right.
Like,
So am I.
I just think healing the family, bringing what we practice in the rooms and the 12 steps and God, all that into the family, it just heals, right? You bring it with love and you bring God into it, and it's like, it brings me to tears.
Yeah. And you guys both know that's the case in my life too, with my kids and my ex-wife.
Yeah, it's really kind of cool because it's like there's God. Then there's the family. And then everything after that kind of falls into place after that.
Roger.
And like, I have found so much God and purpose in my family. And like, granted, the first year all I could do was sponsorship and try to do the steps the best of my ability and so on and so forth. But it wasn't until I separated and I actually was like, oh shit, God, I need God right now because I ain't got anything bloody else to do, right? Nothing else is going to save me in this moment. And that's when the family started to come into play. I have to be there for you and daughter, and my son's living with me now. And, you know, my dad started going downhill in dementia, and it was just like, I'm pulling you apart here so you can build a relationship with me, so you can get to know you, so you can show up as you in all of your family.
Beautiful.
And it's like, holy fuck. Wow.
I remember Bill saying something that stuck with me. God's
getting
shaking your
emotional.
foundation. God's shaking the foundation, like the foundation of your life. At that point,
then
when
you
I
run
was,
to God to say, oh, it's you shaking it.
yeah, it was wild. I was like,
Then you
oh
say
my
thank you.
God. Yeah, like I learned so much through those hard times and making through. Like, recovery is not always beautiful and rainbows, but we learn a better way, right, to deal with it, and we can get through them.
Beautiful. On that note, I'm shutting this down. I want to thank you guys for coming here and being so open and vulnerable and always being there for me as a friend. You guys have been great friends that I've learned and grown to love, and you guys are like an amazing, amazing humans, and I really appreciate you both and sharing your story and being so vulnerable, and like, you know, people are going to get a lot out of this. So I want to thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
No, thank you for the privilege.
And you've been there for us so much, and it's meant the world to me personally, like your support in guiding me, and it's and a friend now too.
Yeah, you started
Right.
off as a pillar, and like guys at work when I put in the podcast, who's this guy? I'm like, well, he was my number one pillar, but I now call him friend,
Yay.
and I thank you for that.
Thank you for having us, Bill.
Okay. Have a good day, you guys. Hi.
Hi.